Shalom and blessings. This is Sharon Cluck with Mind of Messiah Ministries. The following teaching is questions and answer session from the video that we did on the 3 days and the 3 nights that Yeshua was in the grave, and also on his fulfillment of the spring feast. Please tell us what you think about this. What have you been taught? And I think you'll learn a lot from the question and answers. There were a lot more I couldn't get into here. I had to get up from the microphone to get closer to people to hear what they were asking. So we only have 10 or 15 minutes on here. But I think you're going to learn a lot just from the question and answers and get some insight into why we are teaching this and what it is we're trying to learn. Have a great day. Give us a like, a share, and a subscribe, and we'll see you at the end.
You got kind of excited.
So, yeah, I really take it. I don't do much anything else. So I cut some shortcuts for you, so if you don't have to do your study yourself, you can believe me or not, or go do it yourself. And that's perfectly fine. If you find anything that I shared with you that doesn't line up with what you're finding, please tell me. It is very important to me that I preach just the truth and the truth only. So we're going to open this up for questions. Last week we left some of the questions and answers on there, and it seemed to be people received that well. They liked hearing what the questions were afterwards. So if any of you have thoughts, please share them, and I will, if it's not heard on the recording, I'll just repeat it so they can hear it.
Well, thank you for clearing up the Wednesday to Sunday thing.
Yeah.
And you call that a Jewish idiom. It doesn't have to be a physical Wednesday through Sunday thing. My one question from all that is, what is a messianic Jew believe? I mean, do they
believe Wednesday?
They believe Wednesday?
Yeah, that's why you have that ministry that you gave me. That is pretty much the mindset. But that was picked up mainly because we have so much teaching against what was done at 325 at Nicaea. We have so much where we feel like that when we forbidden to keep Sabbath and people started worshiping on Sunday. What I found in my studies is that they kept the Sabbath for a very long time, and they were keeping Sunday as well because it was the day of resurrection. And so they were meeting both days. It wasn't like, and the Jewish people just kept Saturday, but the new converts, like the Gentiles that came in under Cornelius, they would keep Saturday and Sunday. And so by the time we get to 325, when the decrees are made, what happens is that because everybody is celebrating different days, the Catholic Church is saying, we got to keep this all on one day. It's always going to be Sunday. Well, if it comes in with Passover, and you have to wait for the barley to be ripe, and you have to wait till the new moon to shine, then all these are not going to. That's not going to be on a Sunday all the time. And so it was their reasoning why they wanted it on a Sunday. So it wouldn't normally always fall on a Sunday if you were keeping the biblical calendar. And they were not wanting to keep that biblical calendar anymore. It made them lose control. They could control if they could determine which days people were doing what. And when you have a state religion, you have to kind of keep everybody on the same page if you're in control.
Yeah.
You're going to control.
Don't you have an inquisition?
Yeah.
Kill them.
So,
I liked your drawing, as primitive as it is.
Yeah.
I liked your drawing of Jesus coming to the temple one way, the priest going the lamb.
Yeah.
To bring him back.
That was, his timing was perfect. That's all I can say. His timing was perfect. And there's so much to this. If we look at the Passover Seder and all the emblems, they're doing this every year, and they don't see how much of Jesus is in that actual Seder that they're doing. The Seder is the name for the Passover meal that the Hebrews do, or the Jewish people do, and they use what they call a Haggadah, which has it's like a program that tells you when to do what and how to do it. And so it's a very formal thing. The first time I did that, we used a Haggadah. We used a Jewish Haggadah. We had a bunch of people that were not keeping the Sabbath. We were just doing it to see what it was like to learn, to learn the Jewish traditions. And we had a planter. It was a golden planter. And I had the bed and breakfast, and we kept water in it. We'd get up and we'd wash our hands 4 times during the meal. We get up to wash our hands and dry them. And there was so much ritualism in that whole thing. But if you followed their program, so to speak, that's what it took. You had four glasses of wine in the Passover meal, and they have altered it from what it usually was. But truly, when you look at what the Passover meal is, scripturally, it's lamb, it's unleavened bread, and it's bitter herbs, and that's all it is.
Kids will be doing that not this Sabbath, but the next Sabbath. So they will be doing a
That's great. That's great. So our Sabbath school children are going to do their own Passover meal together. That's great. Any other questions, Cindy?
Remember how I told you, I don't remember if it was last week, I said I don't care about the food that they eat, blah, 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 blah. I looked up the food that they eat and reasons why they eat it. And there's a specific reason for each food that they eat. And it all goes back to when God tells them, when your children ask you, tell them.
Right.
And this is like a storyline that they tell their kids using visual foods. And I was like, well, okay, I do care. Now I understand.
Well, our kids will be doing chicken legs and not a lamb shank. But
and you can do goat. A beef roast works fine for it. I mean, you can do any of those things. It's not a matter of keeping. We are not in Israel. We cannot keep the Sabbath the way that we're supposed to keep the Sabbath. We cannot keep the feast the way we're supposed to keep the feast. It's supposed to be done in the land. When we do it, we're not having a real Passover. That's why we don't kill a lamb and roast it, because we're not having a true Passover. We are enacting. These are rehearsal dinners. They are types and shadows of things, good things to come. We are not keeping a true Passover. That has to be done in the land. And when we get into the millennial reign and we're in Israel with the Messiah, we'll let him figure out how he wants that done.
that'll be awesome.
It amazes me, well, when I was studying these 3 actually this week, it amazed me how, they had their reasons for doing Passover, unleavened bread, and first fruits. Yes. That was their reasoning, what you explained. But God had a totally different reason for it. And they didn't see it, but we do see it, that this all is Jesus.
Yeah.
And it just amazed me. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, oh my gosh. It's amazing.
It is. There's just so much of him in every one of these feasts. And you just go, how did this, I mean, I can't even tell you, I don't remember, because I read at one point how many prophecies were fulfilled in the life of Yeshua, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of them. And it's mathematically impossible for one person to fulfill that many prophecies, to live a life, even as Sharon says, did, and fulfill that many prophecies. All of this just blows me away. And I would have liked to share more, but it's just, I knew that we'd already gotten to our saturation point. Sometimes you have to just back off,
Let us simmer in that for a while.
Yeah. But it was a lot to take in, because like I said, I have this a whole chart. I used to draw this whole thing out on the board, one line at a time while we worked it out together, because And that's a lot of stuff to work out. But we took 2 hours to teach. We always took 2 hours to teach. And so we would go through each scripture and we'd take turns reading them and we'd look how this all lined out. And I mean, I had it from Wednesday all the way over to, what we had here was that he was the Lord of the Sabbath and that he must rise on the Sabbath. If he's the Lord of the Sabbath, he must rise on the Sabbath. And so what happens is there's 12 hours. If he rises before sundown on the Sabbath, then he's got 12 hours between the time that he rises and the time that he sees Mary at the tomb. And so what they were doing is they were speculating that during that time, in those 12 hours, we had 12 hours lost. I've seen this taught numerous times, that you have 12 hours lost between when he rises just before sundown and then he sees Mary just before sunup, so you got 12 missing hours. So what was he doing? Well, he was probably battling with Satan, the accuser of the brethren, trying one last time to prove that he had a right to keep Jesus in the grave instead. Well, he's already resurrected, so that don't work. But I mean, it's kind of like when people told me that speaking in tongues had passed away, and I couldn't do that. I said, too late. I already got that. So it's
Well,
too
during
late.
12 hours, would that have, maybe my timeline might wrong, but couldn't that be the time that he went to hell? And
Well, he's already resurrected, though.
oh, okay, so
He's already resurrected. This was just a tough lesson, and I never thought it would be. I've been teaching this for years, but all of a sudden I had things in here that I would go. And one of the things I said to Joy last night when she asked me about a high day was that we have access to things now, because I came into this in 2005, and I started studying then, and I made up my mind about a lot of things. I changed my paradigm at that time. And now when I study, you have access to all the founding fathers. You can go back and pull up the history and everything that they wrote. You can see, and all of them say that he was crucified on Friday. And you want to go, well, I can't fight with that. They're just 100 years past the day. That's what the founding fathers start writing 100 years after the death of Jesus. It's not even that. It's more like 70. And you go, how can I argue with that when this whole Wednesday crucifixion didn't show up until the late 1700s? But everybody has a political motive for what they do. And so when we look at something and we're trying to protect our beliefs, and I definitely believe in a Saturday Sabbath. Yeshua kept a Saturday Sabbath. So I want to do what he did. But when people are threatened by Sunday laws, Sunday worshipers, they will design something to make it, to prove that you're not supposed to worship on Sunday. And it doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with following Yeshua and following the scriptures. It's about following Torah and what Yeshua did. It's not about who changed what later. We have to keep our eyes focused on what's right and what's true. And that's why I said today, this should not be about the timing of the week. This should be about the feast days and the fulfillment of the feast days. Because that's the power of this whole lesson.
What he did for us.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
And what he did for us.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what our focus should be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've seen people part ways, have almost knocked down dragouts over this crucifixion week. It's just crazy. And it's not important what days of the week that he died or what days of the week that he rose. What's important is that he did and what it did for us, and that it fulfilled all of these feast days. Because that lets us know that when we get to these fall feasts, we can understand. We don't have it all figured out, but we have a better speculation than what we had before we started understanding the feast. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We'd really like to know what you think. And if you have questions,
please enter them down in the comment section. I'll be sure to get to you. Give us a like, a share, and a subscribe, and God bless you. We are praying for all of those that listen to those videos because we know you wouldn't be doing it if you weren't seeking the truth. Yahweh bless you.